It is time to talk about the big bat himself, The Dark Knight Rises. Our first impression, good or bad?
Good.
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 I'd say good too. I'd say overall, everyone I've talked to, my wife freaking loved this movie, and I think we need to get to the theater and see it again ASAP. She's shaking her head. Yes, we need to go see it again sometime.
I would love to see. I really want to see this movie again.
And I guess I should mention right here, if you're still listening, haven't seen it, blah, 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 get out. We're going to talk about everything.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
So
Spoilers.
if you don't want to know, get out.
Get out. We don't want you here.
I'm going to start with the spoiler immediately by mentioning something that you might not know why I was mentioning unless you'd already seen it. Someone commented on our first discussion of Batman on Google+. I have this one person. Who's the only person who ever comments on my Google Plus videos, and I want to give them a shout out. And I don't know how to say their first name, so I'm just going to call them their last name, which is Price. Price commented on our thing. I'm going to say it the way that we would say it. Ra's al Ghul's name is pronounced Raish. They say it wrong in the films.
Oh.
Now, hold on. At first, I reacted. That was I probably made that sound. I probably went, ah. But then it occurred to me that one of the many reasons that I will never see Shyamalan's version of The Last Airbender is because he changed the way that the characters' names were pronounced, and that just irks me to no end. But anyway, I looked it up, and they're right. In the comics, his name is always pronounced that way because the person who made up the character pronounced it that way. However...
How in the comics?
Yeah.
How do you know how it's pronounced?
Because that person was consulted when they wanted to put that name in a cartoon or something, and they said, this is the way I've always been pronouncing it, and it's Raish, with a H sound. But anyway, the actual...
Okay, well, I'll let you finish, and then I'll say something.
Okay, the actual root of the word, Ra's al Ghul, is supposed to mean head of the demon in Arabic. And the word Raz is pronounced Raz. They're saying it correctly in the movie if you're looking at the original source, but whatever stupid comic book writer who came up with that's the name of the guy said, yeah, it's Raish. I like the way it sounds. So this person is right and wrong, and I just wanted to give them credit, especially since they're the only person who comments on Google+. And that's got to be worth something, right?
I mean, when I think of Google Plus, I think of tumbleweeds.
Tumbleweeds. It's just a ghost town over there.
I will say this: if the only place that this person was this person the person who created the character of?
You can say Raz.
That we're talking about, Ra's al Ghul.
Yes.
Either Dennis O'Neil or Neil Adams, one of those two.
Created by Dennis O'Neil.
Okay, so, I mean, if Dennis O'Neil imagined that his name was Raish, but it was never in the comics, this is the thing that I'm, gonna harp on. If it was in this one person's head, and in the comics, it was never... If they never said something like, it's Raish, something that rhymes with Raish, then I don't care. I mean, that's different from
the Airbender thing.
Airbender,
yeah,
because you heard it because they said it, right? That's different. As much as I love and care about our people on Google Plus, and I appreciate that. That's interesting, right? That is interesting that whoever created this character thought it was pronounced a different way. What I think is also interesting is that I'm seeing that, yes, this is Arabic. We're Nolan and his brother are basically just correcting this person's pronunciation.
Yeah, they went to the source and they were like, that would never be pronounced that way.
And also, what sounds more awesome and threatening, Ra's al Ghul or Raish al Ghul?
I'm with you.
Okay. So when did you see Dark Knight Rises? It was a while ago.
I saw it the Sunday the weekend that it came out.
I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, so you're way more fresh on it, but like I said, I gotta see it again.
Me too. So we have sort of decided that this will be kind of an unstructured conversation, right?
So that ending.
Right. So we're definitely not going to follow the characters, because how can you? This movie is so complicated. The first thing I want to do, which I kind of spoiled to Shawn, but let's see if he can guess. Shawn, what do you think? I challenge you. What do you think the first thing I did at the end of the movie was? But it was not me texting you, because that was literally the first thing I did. I literally texted Shawn that I saw Dark Knight Rises. But after that, what do you think the first thing I did leaving the theater was, in knowing me? What do you think I did? It's not some mundane thing.
I don't know.
I downloaded the soundtrack. I loved the soundtrack. I got the deluxe version.
I guess I should have been able to call that.
You did. I'll give it to you, even though you didn't get it.
That Hans Zimmer, man.
And James Horner did the first two, right?
No, he did all of them.
Hans did all of them?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait.
I'm pretty sure.
Wait, because I saw something.
He collaborated with James Newton Howard.
James Newton Howard. Yes, but James Newton Howard, didn't he do... I saw, when I was looking into the music, James Newton Howard refused to take part, basically, in Dark Knight Rises, because it came after Inception, and Hans Zimmer worked so closely with Nolan. James was like, I just feel like I'd be a third wheel, and Hans just did the music wall to wall for Dark Knight Rises, whereas both of them worked on Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
That's really weird, because one of the only special features on the Dark Knight DVD, which I complained about the lack of features, one of them was about the scoring, and I swear to God, they didn't even mention James Newton Howard. It was just Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. Well, so the thing I want to mention about the music, and either commenters when you hear this, or Shawn, just like tell me or correct me. Batman Begins and the Dark Knight, I did not notice any sort of character-based themes.
Okay.
Right? So the only theme or hero music that I know of, and I guess I'm just gonna Shawn, you can either like edit this out and put in the real music, or you can just keep this in. So the only thing I can think of that's in all, like, the Batman theme is that, you know, violin music, you know, like that's like the theme of the whole series.
Yeah.
And then, like, the Batman theme, whenever Batman is like being a badass, it's that percussion, like it's that percussion and horn music. I actually can't even replicate it right now, so I don't know. But like, it's similar to the theme of the whole series, but it's like this is when Batman is being the badass. It's that, you know, it's that percussion and stuff. And I don't think there was any... I mean, there was no Scarecrow or Ra's al Ghul or Joker music in Batman Begins or The Dark Knight, but we got character themes in this movie. So they continued Batman. Like, whenever Batman was being a badass, he had his music. But Catwoman, or Catgirl, or whatever, she had a theme. It was that, like, clinky piano music.
Damn it, I didn't notice any of this stuff.
You didn't?
I have something to look for on the rewatch. No.
Doo-doo-doo.
I mean, I totally believe you, and actually the fact that I didn't notice it is probably better as a movie experience, because it was completely subliminal.
Right, I was like totally being... I mean, like,
you're just being a total score nerd.
Yeah, I was like, what's happening right now? Like Catwoman had a theme, and it came up multiple times. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. And her theme sounded like a burglar kind of thing going on. Like, do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do. And then, oh my god, like, how like so Bane had his own theme as well. Bane's theme was like I think people would also unconsciously or subconsciously think that this was the theme of the movie. It was that dun 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 dun, and like,
okay, yeah, I definitely noticed that.
Whenever he was doing
that was in the trailer as well.
It was in the trailer. That music that you associate with this movie, when you're watching the movie, that music only played when Bane was in a powerful
That
position.
is the sound of Bane.
That's Bane's theme.
Okay.
So this movie, more than any of the either two, played with those themes, and like I think it's really evident that one person was in charge of the music, because he's so that's why I downloaded the soundtrack like right away after this. Like, he's so deftly interchanged them and melded them together and broke them apart, and it was awesome to see what he was doing, because like he brought in the Catwoman theme, that like doo doo doo, like there were little. I wanted to, like, when I was taking notes in the theater, because I was doing that. When I was taking notes, I was like, there is some weird string music happening as Anne Hathaway is going into Bruce's room, but it was string music, not piano.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when we thought that she was just like a servant. And
did we really think that?
Well, or whatever. I have no idea how Anne Hathaway is gonna play into this. I assume she's just a servant. But it was just like string, like, and it only became that like plinky kind of thing when they were at the event that Miranda Tate was hosting. Like, they sort of teased that theme early on with her character, so we were like, oh, there's something going on there. The music was amazing. I was like, yes, applaud. I loved it.
For some reason, whenever I think of score composers, like, the picture that I get in my head is like John Williams at Abbey Road Studios in front of a 90-piece symphony with like a big screen. Like, that's the image that always pops into my head. And when I was watching this special feature on Dark Knight with Hans Zimmer, he was talking about that recurring sound of like madness that just keeps coming back. That is actually a guitar.
Yes.
I thought forever that it was a string instrument of some type, and he said
more what you're talking about. I'm not sure that I know what you're talking about.
He spends so much time, like, as a composer in front of a computer, like manipulating sound files to find the right thing. And I'm sure that that's how all of this stuff came together, with themes overlapping each other and playing with each other. Like, he just did that on a computer.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I am pretty sure happened. So, throughout this movie, there is this chanting.
Yeah.
And to the life of me, I don't know what the actual word is, and I just typed in rise.
It's Deshi Basara.
Deshi Basara. Yes. Deshi Basara. They crowdsourced getting clips of people saying Deshi Basara in the cadence that they needed, because Hans Zimmer, he imagined that this chanting would be literally like hundreds of thousands of people chanting Deshi Basara, Deshi Basara, and it's like, how do you get hundreds of thousands of people to do that? So they use the internet, and they're like, everyone like who gets this link or whatever, like, record this and get it back to us, and that's what they used to get this, chant, which is, I mean, I don't want to say this movie made or broke on that chant, but it was like a really important part of the movie, like hearing that over and over again. Which is really cool as well, like, right? I mean, like, and I don't know how I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it until after I had seen the movie.
I'm reading right off the Wikipedia. So like Hans Zimmer said, the chant became a very complicated thing because they wanted hundreds of thousands of voices, and it's not so easy to get hundreds of thousands of voices. So we twittered and we posted on the internet for people who wanted to be a part of it. It seemed like an interesting thing. We created this world over these last two movies, and somehow I think the audience and the fans have been a part of this world. That's really important. We do keep this in mind, and that was their explanation for like how they did that. That's pretty cool.
They did a lot of things in this movie that involved a lot of people. The football stadium scene,
yeah,
all of those extras are real people. They had a crowd of 12,000 people for a whole day. A whole day of shooting, and they had to offer them they had to do like raffles, and they brought in like the tumblers and like had them spin around the stadium just to keep people entertained and in their seats so that they could continue to shoot these scenes that took an entire day in the summer heat, and everyone has to look like they're bundled up for winter.
Do you know where that was?
It was in Pittsburgh. It was at the Steelers stadium. Which I think might be one of the reasons that the fake Gotham team, which, by the way, is made up of real NFL players.
Yep, that's true.
Which is one of the reasons I think that they are in Steelers colors.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. They're inverted Steelers colors.
Yeah.
It's like black on yellow instead of like yellow on black. Yeah.
The only thing that I like publicly tweeted about my reception of the movie personally was, I'm so glad Christopher Nolan does not use special effects. And like one of the things was that stadium. I was like, that's amazing. That is so cool. And the other thing was the bat plane.
We'll talk about the bat plane.
The bat plane, in just about any shot where it's just like kind of in frame, it's real.
Yes.
At any point that it's flying and it's just
not.
occupying the top of the screen, that's real. It's just suspended from a crane and they're moving it.
Yes.
They didn't want to do special effects for it unless they absolutely had to. And that's the same thing he did for Inception. He built sets that are like crazy upside down, spinning
Inception
around.
Is way more than this. Like, we'll save that for when we do that. But like the things they did in Inception are crazy.
He likes to do practical effects whenever possible, and he did it so many times in this movie that I was just like, thank you for not just resorting to CGI. I really appreciate that.
Yes, I mean, like, I think at some points it's hard to tell whether or not the Batplane is CGI, which means it's sort of like, well, you know, maybe you shouldn't have had a Batplane. But
for a long time, he did not want to put any flying contraptions into Batman, and he decided to break his own rule for the final movie.
They needed it to get people from place to place.
Basically,
you know?
As soon as it appeared, I was just like, oh, it's kind of like a Harrier. And I just totally bought it. I was like, whatever, fine. Yeah, cool.
Yep. I mean, they needed it for certain things, and I think they used it to great effect. But yeah, I mean, there are so few special effects in this movie. I mean, like, you're totally right. I love that Nolan does not do that.
He doesn't do CGI like crazy. He also refuses to do 3D, and I hope he just sticks to that. That would be great.
Me too. Do you want to talk about the opening and the planes?
Yeah.
At all?
That was also real, by the way.
That was real.
That was awesome. Real.
That happened. They did that.
When you see those guys in midair hanging from ropes, like on the side of a plane that is suspended from another plane,
happened.
That really happened. These people are insane.
What?
I mean, The Avengers is a great movie, but it's just all drawn. Like, it's all fake. This was a great movie, and just about everything you were looking at really happened. The Batcave set was a total 360 set. There were no breaks. There were no removable walls. It was just a giant fake cave.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that makes me think that Christopher Nolan is a masochist. Because if you can build a set and you're a director, wouldn't you want it to have some removal walls so that you can get shots and not like put yourself into the pain and bondage of like just trying to make it work?
I guess he would rather have a completely immersive thing and then just take in a handheld camera and be like, okay, well now how do I shoot this? Because it's such a character-driven piece that I think the set pieces take a back seat to, like, he just wants to worry about the scene that he's capturing in it. He'll figure out how to shoot it after they make it.
That's true. So we should probably talk a little bit about the characters.
So what happens in this movie?
So who's the good guy? Who's the
good guy is a good question.
Who's the good guy? B, is there a main character?
It is pretty split. I mean, the character that we probably see the least of is Batman.
Is Batman or Bruce Wayne? We rarely see him.
We see way more of Bruce Wayne than Batman.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. Lots more Bruce Wayne, very little Batman. And also, is there a good guy? Who's the good guy?
I don't know. Alfred, I guess.
I'm going to put my money on...
Or maybe Blake.
Blake, sorry, I was bringing him up.
John Blake.
John Blake is my.
He is a hero. Like,
he's my money on. He is the actual hero.
When he learns what Jim Gordon had to do, what his lie had to be, which, by the way, we find out his family left him after that went down.
That happened in the comics too, I think.
Really? I didn't know that. That made me really sad. When he learns what Gordon had to do, which I think most audience members are probably sympathetic for Gordon, like, having to do that, he's like, why did you do that? You should not have done that. He stands on the side of good, and he does not cross a line.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing that I wanted to, like, really draw out was Batman and Gordon, and I guess the mayor, to the degree that he knew what was going on, but like Batman and Jim Gordon, they made a decision, they made a choice to they secured a peace based on a lie.
Yeah, they wanted to put all these people, these hundreds of organized crime members, away. And the way they could do it was by using Harvey Dent's death to get this legislation.
Yeah, and it's not exactly clear what the legislation was.
No, it's just the Dent Act. It's the Patriot Act.
I mean, they mentioned something about, like, denying parole for blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, they didn't talk, like, that's what...
they give us a few specifics, but nothing. They didn't, like, print out the act and give it to us as we walked in the theater.
No, but they basically told us right from the beginning, like, the Dent Act cleaned up the streets, and we wouldn't have had it if we didn't have this noble sacrifice of Harvey Dent. And we have Harvey Dent Day. And, it's not our longest holiday or our most storied holiday, but it's our most important holiday. It's right in the beginning of the movie, like, we have Harvey Dent Day, where we, like, come together and celebrate this man, this great man, this white knight, and, he was killed by this awful, evil man, this vigilante who no one understands, and we hate him, and, now our streets are clean, and, blah, blah, blah. And we have this random congressman, who happens to just be, like, spouting his mouth, like random congressmen seem to want to do. Just be like, Jim Gordon, he's not going to be a commissioner anymore. And he's like, and the reason why, it's like, the streets have been clean for too long. Like, Gotham's getting kind of soft.
Yeah.
They haven't had, crime in a long time. And Jim Gordon, he's a wartime consigliere, And most of the cops, including, what's the name of that guy? The guy who ends up good at the end, but he's kind of a prick.
The guy who's played by Matthew Modine.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
Foley.
Foley. I mean, Foley sort of seems like a pretty high lieutenant.
He's a deputy commissioner.
Oh, he's his deputy.
Apparently.
His deputy is sort of like, we don't need to do this, we don't need to do that. He's like, there's no crime in the city. Like, why is everyone so crazy about stuff? And then you have Blake, who's like, he's just a beat cop.
How many times does Foley call him a hothead?
Yeah, we don't need no hotheads in here. No more hotheads. Get the hotheads out. Get the hotheads. I mean, and also Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like, even when he's angry, how could you call him a hothead?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. Well, anyway, so this movie begins with a heist, and the heist is of a person. A Russian nuclear physicist, scientist, something. I don't even think we're clued in at the beginning, right? We're just capturing you. Bane is capturing you, and we get introduced to Bane right away. Bane is kind of like Tom Hardy. He's a big guy,
scary as hell.
How did he get all buffed up for that?
I don't know, but I read somewhere he gained 30 pounds of muscle.
Not surprising. He's a big freaking guy with this giant, crazy, scary mask.
And the mask they put on him for, I think 90% of the movie makes him unrecognizable as Tom Hardy.
Oh, totally.
It doesn't cover his eyes, but for some reason, like, that's the part you normally need to cover to make someone, like, disappear. And I just couldn't. I was staring at him, and I'm like, I don't see Tom Hardy there. That's so weird.
I think some of it is his body.
Yeah, his body and his bizarre voice.
Yeah, I tweeted something about this movie, but I'm sorry, but at some points I just can't understand what he's saying.
We had a problem in our theater that was really weird. Our sound mix was a little goofy, so sometimes the people who were speaking were hard to hear. But the thing was, Bane's vocal track was not in the same speakers as everyone else's voices, so Bane was always loud and clear, and then everyone else was like whispering off to the side. We were like, okay, I can hear Bane, but I don't know what Alfred just said.
How weird.
It was really weird. My theater that I go to is normally fine. This was a very strange instance.
I did not experience this phenomena.
So it was interesting to know that Bane's vocal track was in a different mix than everyone else's, but other than that, I was just kind of annoyed.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised because he was very difficult to hear. And there were things he said that I was just like, I don't know what he said. I'm just gonna have to live with that. I don't know what he said.
Get it on the rewatch.
Yeah, I know. I gotta see this thing again. So, Batman. It's 8 years later. And Batman has not been seen for 8 years. Bruce Wayne is like a weird recluse who people have like odd speculations about. His empire seems to be in trouble.
It's kind of crumbling.
It's not good at all. Not good at all. So they're at this party, and we get introduced to two new characters, and that's Miranda Tate and John Daggett. Do you know who the kind of Daggett? Daggett. John Daggett. Yeah. Miranda Tate is sort of like wants to see Bruce because of some sort of clean energy project that she's been championing, and they seem to have. I don't know. We don't know. They haven't told us. It's falling apart. And then John Daggett is just this total prick who is like, oh, well, I'm John Daggett, and why would you want, Bruce Wayne, he just pees into mason jars, eats his own fingernails, and just blah, 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 blah.
You could have played that part, man.
Thankfully, John Daggett gets killed by Bane like 20 minutes later. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Bane.
Yeah, Daggett is like some sort of construction magnate, but like that was when in the movie, like this movie was kind of hard for me to follow just because I was like, what is happening?
That's one of my primary problems with the movie.
I was like, I don't know what's happening.
I had like two major problems. The first one was I never trusted Miranda Tate for a second.
No.
And the second problem was that the first half hour of this movie is very poorly paced. It's just like all over the place and very confusing. And I'm sure when I watch it the second time, it'll be better, but it shouldn't be that way. Like, The Dark Knight has a very good, expanding exposition that takes place over the first, 45 minutes that seems very meticulously planned. And at the beginning of this movie, it was just kind of like, well, we need this scene at the beginning. Well, we need this scene at the beginning. Well, we should probably put this scene. And it just seemed like they kind of juggled with a couple scenes and then threw them out. And they're like, yeah, that's the first half hour. And Roger Ebert, in his review, brought up the exact same point. That the beginning, you're just like, what is going, why, what? But after that, it hit a nice pace, and then I was fine.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I didn't even think about it that way, but I think, me saying I don't know what's happening, like that, yes, you've summarized.
That means that there's something wrong with the editing.
Right. I mean,
The Dark Knight was edited by the same guy, and he got nominated for an Academy Award for it. So, well, yeah. I don't know what was going on here.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't know what was going on, and I think that you're probably right.
Like, Inception, you don't know what's going on, but that's part of the plan. This, you didn't know what was going on, and I think you were supposed to.
Right, no, it was confusing. I mean, like, things like... It's like Selena Kyle, like, right at the beginning, like, right at the outset, and...
Yeah, her scene with Bruce Wayne shouldn't have been that close to the beginning.
And it was so quick. It was like, in 1 second of dialogue, Bruce Wayne telegraphs that she was getting his fingerprints. And it was like, you could miss it like that.
Yeah.
And boom, and then we're on to the next thing. And, you know what else? I don't have my notes that I took in the theater, but, one of the things about the editing that I didn't like was mostly at the... Damn it, you and Roger Ebert are right. In the beginning, there were lots of odd editing choices as to where they were going to go to next. Like, it would be Selena Kyle opening a door and then taking a tray into a place, and then suddenly back to the congressman saying some random thing to a guy, and then to the mayor, and then now we're gonna go somewhere else. Like, I never felt like we were building toward anything. It was just like, lots of things are happening right now, we're gonna cut randomly between them.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. And until the second, I didn't really understand why I didn't like it, but I guess I do now.
Like, The Dark Knight, they take the Joker and reveal him in the opening heist, and then they don't show the Joker again for like a freaking half hour or something. Yeah. Like, there's the unimaginable test of your patience to show the Joker again. And they were just juggling everyone immediately. Yeah. And I think if anyone, they could have waited. They could have taken Selena Kyle and put her later. And just catch up on Bruce Wayne, introduce Bane, and then Selena Kyle comes around.
Well, yes, but Selena is part of,
she's part of the story immediately.
She is integral in getting Bruce back into the job. You know?
Yeah. She drew him out with the pearls and stuff.
Right. So
I don't have a fix.
I mean, like, and I don't want to, like, I've seen on the internet these, like, nitpicks and plot holes, like, oh, well, Bruce Wayne is all crippled and then he's not crippled. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Like, everyone.
It's a plot that everyone knew. Everyone knew that Bane was going to break his back. Like,
that too. Right, but it's like, well, Bruce has blah blah blah.
Didn't he was fine. In the comics, was he paralyzed for the rest of his life? Was that the end of the story?
No, well, no. I mean, like, at the beginning, it's like your cartilage is blah blah blah, and then he puts that stuff on his legs, and then he can walk. Like, he's fine again. And I'm like, yeah, he's fine again. Like, I don't care. I mean, like, he needs to become Batman. He can't be Batman, like, in a wheelchair. He can't just be like, I'm Batman, I'm rolling around now, and I'm going to try to fight crime. No one will watch that movie. So, don't complain about that. I don't care about that. But, I do think that it is troublesome that the opening of the movie, it was really overloaded, and it was hard to follow, and I couldn't follow it, and I think that's right. The thing that they got into once we kind of got to Bane, one of the things that I really, really liked about the story were the flashbacks back to that prison.
Yeah.
That got sequentially longer, or we saw more of them.
They were incepting us, by the way.
They were incepting us.
They were deliberately misleading us about what happened in that prison by showing us just pieces at a time so that we would continue to buy the little lie that they were selling us.
Yeah,
it's very smart.
When I saw Bane and I saw what was happening, and also this story was so weird. Didn't you feel like the whole story was weird? Did you feel like the story was weird?
I feel like a lot of comic book stories that I walk into are weird, so I guess I accept it as normal.
I mean, it's we're gonna bring a nuclear bomb into your city and martial law and these monkey courts and stuff. I don't know. I thought it was weird.
That just seems like comics to me.
Yeah, I guess. So,
by the way, I was not at all complaining when Jonathan Crane showed up.
Okay, we got to do this sidebar. I think I don't know if it's the best part of the movie, but one of my favorite parts of the movie is the fact that Cillian Murphy decided, because he didn't have to. I'm sure someone asked him, and he said yes. Cillian Murphy decided to come back one more time.
He's been in every movie.
Yep, to come back one more time in a fairly minor but awesome role to be the judge of the sentencing trials. I mean, I bet they're even on Arkham. Oh, also, here's the thing that I wanted to, here's another thing I wanted to bring up. They established this whole, Arkham thing in the first movie, and they have never touched it, and
Yeah, they did. And then in this movie, when they break out of a prison, it's not Arkham. It's not Arkham. Some, federal prison or something.
I mean, that was something that was so great about this movie, is that it deals with consequences, in ways that sequels rarely do.
Mm-hmm.
It really, things happened in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Bruce killed Ra's al Ghul and disrupted the plan of the League of Shadows. Harvey Dent fell and became a bad man, and they hid this, and they had this lie that they built this piece on for 8 years, and the consequences of that splay out over the next 8 years, and it all comes to a head in The Dark Knight Rises. But in Batman Begins, it was kind of an important plot point that Arkham Asylum, everyone went crazy and was let out, and that has never been addressed.
They're just out there in the world.
I guess they've kept the bridges to that little island off the island cut off, so they're all crazy out there or something with King Joffrey.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, but anyway, it was nice to see the Scarecrow back.
I was so glad he came back. That was awesome.
It was cool enough that we got the little cameo by Liam Neeson, and then Cillian Murphy shows up, and he's in several scenes, and I was like, this is awesome.
Well, I guess it'll be death. All right, death. Bye, exile. And it sort of reminds me of a Terry Gilliam movie. He's 30 feet in the air.
It is like a Terry Gilliam. Yeah, that entire staging is just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. There are these long flowing sheets of paper and books everywhere.
But he's got the correct paper in front of him. He's consulting the correct paper.
He's wearing a tattered robe, and it's just crazy. I mean, it's crazy, and that's what's so awesome about in days or months, Bane is able to turn Gotham into this crazy land, right? It's crazy.
Apparently, that's how close it was to being that crazy.
Oh, it's madness. So it's really convenient that there were a lot of things in this movie that were really convenient. And I don't want to say plot hole, but I'm just going to say that some things were really convenient. It was really convenient that Bane's lair that Selina Kyle drove Batman to and he had his back broken was directly under Wayne Industries armory.
Well, didn't he do that on purpose?
Yeah, but it's like, did Bruce Wayne not think, like, what, like, did he not know? Like, I think we're heading toward my building.
Yeah, it wouldn't he have a little bit of sense of direction, maybe?
Right? I mean, like, this seems like it could be right underneath the armory that I have all my stuff in. And also, isn't it convenient that there is a big sewer thing right underneath the armory of Wayne Industries? And isn't that area supposed to be where they brought Gordon?
Yeah, it was. Or is that something different? Was.
So isn't it weird that it's like that place that like underneath?
This is a Buffy problem.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's a Buffy problem. There's a giant cavern under a really important thing, and for some reason the people who should know that don't know.
That's another thing. I didn't even think about that. How did the people at Wayne Industries not know that there were people underneath the armory?
That's
Lucius not know
that is the problem. Fox knew to hide all that stuff there, but he didn't figure out how people might try and rob it.
Yeah, 2 feet underneath that was a giant sewer intake outlet something. He didn't know that. I think that's weird.
Chris Nolan was like, they did it on Buffy. It's fine.
I guess. Okay. So I think that it's fine. I have seen really angry people on the internet being like, well, why did Bane take Bruce to this prison out in the wilderness? But I think that it's obvious that Talia wanted to, torture Bruce. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I had no problem.
Villains don't kill good guys in movies, ever.
Well, yeah, no, they want to torture them. And it's I had no problem, even that Bane took him there. Once I knew that Talia was behind all of it at the end, I'm like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Bruce killed Talia's father, and she wants to wreck him, physically and emotionally. So I thought that made sense to put him there. And to put him in the same prison where she and Bane had been in prison before, I thought was very poetic.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I am totally fine with that. And
I liked that part of the story because it was kind of like a different act of the movie. This is the act where Bruce has to go rebuild himself.
It felt really different from anything else that had been in Batman movies.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. The more we learned about whoever this person was, who we eventually find out is Talia, and Bruce, getting the strength and whatever to escape from there. I thought that was really cool. And I also don't care that he had no way to get back to Gotham from there. I'm fine with that. Whatever.
Remember in the last movie where he took a quick trip over to Indonesia or whatever to grab that guy and then came back and dropped him at the foot of the cop building?
Yeah, or how he
that wasn't a big deal either.
He threw away in the first movie, he threw away his wallet and gave away his coat and ended up in North Korea. He's a resourceful guy. He can do what he can do. So I think we should talk about Joseph Gordon-Levitt for a while.
I think we should talk about how awesome Anne Hathaway was, and she completely surprised me, not just at being awesome, but also that Catwoman character came out of left field for me.
You want to talk about her?
I didn't know...
Can I say something about Anne Hathaway?
Yeah.
I really, really dislike her.
You dislike Anne Hathaway?
Yes.
Is it her teeth?
It's a lot of things, but I really don't like her. And so she had a lot of negatives coming into this movie for me because I'm like, I don't like Anne Hathaway at all. And I really liked her in this movie.
Do you want to give any of your dislikes?
No.
Is it because you dated once and now she won't speak to you?
Yeah.
I would go with that. Go with that.
Yeah, it was messy. It was messy. I find her personally, in like interviews and whatever, I find her just like overbearing and pretentious, and and in things that I've seen her in besides this, I've like that reinforces my opinion of her. I'm just like, I don't like you. You just seem like someone I would not like.
I'm looking at her movie list, and I can honestly say I've seen very little of what she's actually done.
Yeah, I had no real affection for her. Which I guess it wouldn't. I have no active dislike for her, but I was like not. I was like, I don't really like Anne.
Okay,
so
well,
she had negatives for me walking into this movie, and she totally, like, I loved her.
I didn't know what exactly. I didn't know much about Catwoman or Selena Kyle. I'm not a comic book person. We've discussed this before. And people seem to, when I don't mention things, people are like, how did you not know that blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, because I don't read comics. So I didn't know exactly what the circumstances were going to be that we would meet Selena Kyle. And I thought it was really interesting that in a world full of characters that it seems are very, very much good or very much bad or whatever, she is in a state of complete desperation. And they tell us that pretty much immediately. And I was like, well, are they trying to fool us with something? But no, she really, like... She is just a burglar, and she's gotten in with the wrong people, and she doesn't really care who helps her. She just needs help.
Yep.
And she turns to the person that we like, so it's fine.
Well, but no, she doesn't.
Well, not immediately, but eventually.
Right, no, but like repeatedly she doesn't.
Because she takes the path of least resistance.
Okay.
Until she pulls the Han Solo move at the end.
Yes, no, and she does. She is totally the Han Solo at the end, and she's also the Deus Ex Machina at the end. So, if we haven't told you all, there are spoilers in what we are talking about right now. So Miranda Tate, who Bruce has slept with.
Yeah, whoops.
Whoops.
Well, I mean nice, but whoops.
And Marion Cotillard, she's one of those very exotic people who just...
Yeah?
Hard to describe. So, she has taken over Wayne Industries at Bruce Wayne's request.
Yeah, he gave it to her.
Right? And this is one of those things where maybe we should have been thinking about this more. You said, like, right from the beginning you didn't trust her. I was sort of like, no, I don't know what's going on with this character. I didn't have any, like, prickles or anything. I'm just like, I don't know about this Miranda Tate.
I didn't, like, guess who she was or anything, but I think, like, 20 minutes after she had first appeared, I turned to Alicia and said, I don't trust her. And she kind of shook her head, and she was like, no, I don't either.
Right, well, no, but like I'm just like I don't know about this character, and then you got this Daggett character who's obviously very bad. And one of the things that was probably a big clue that she probably is much worse than we should think from what we've seen in the plot is that Bane killed Daggett, and that was really a positive thing for Miranda to take over Wayne Industries, right? Like, oh, isn't it convenient that the only person who would possibly contest Tate's control over Wayne Industries was killed by Bane?
Yeah, that was very nice engineering.
Right, I didn't even think about it at the time, but now I'm like, oh, that is really convenient. And also, I mean, like, I guess sidebar, they used a lot of flashbacks in this, which I really liked. Because it was flashbacks to both The Dark Knight and Batman Begins. It was sort of like bringing it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Saw lots of stuff of like Harvey being crazy and going back to Bruce's training with Ducat /
Ra's al Ghul.
And actually, they didn't even have to paper over a retcon this. He mentioned in Batman Begins about his wife and this whole thing. Like, this is something that Ducat mentioned, but this movie kind of fleshes out in much more detail.
Yeah, it was nice going into the theater knowing that none of that, I didn't know any of that stuff was going to be involved. It was a complete surprise.
Either. Like, this was totally new. Like, Christopher and James Nolan made this up all on their own. None of this is...
Which I'm perfectly fine with.
Oh, me too. And, like, I don't know what you were thinking, but, like, so like, this whole plot is unfolding. Let's quickly sketch out the plot, because the plot is actually really painfully simple. It's just like, here's this guy, Bane, and the League of Shadows.
It's basically the same plot from the first movie, just with a different person.
It's similar, and it's also a similar plot from the second movie. It's like they kind of combined them. You got this guy, Bane, and he has taken over a lot of the criminal underground in Gotham, and, like, things come to a head, and it turns out that Bane has, with his crew, put a lot of explosives around the city through concrete, and they break off all of Gotham from the rest of America, which I found out from Wikipedia is related to a comic plot from Batman called No Man's Land, where Gotham was broken off from America. They break it off except for one bridge, and they've got a nuclear bomb, which Bruce was integral in designing, basically. Him and Miranda Tate, who we'll find out eventually is Talia al Ghul, invested in a project to create limitless free energy, which could become a nuclear bomb. That's where the guy from the beginning comes into place, and Bane steals it, and he tells this crowd at a Steelers game or whatever, it's like, there's a nuclear bomb, and I have given the trigger to one of the citizens of Gotham, and it will decay over the next 5 months, and I have given the people of Gotham control over the city, and from now on, martial law is in effect. And they used
By the way, that's going to be about as understandable as he actually was. So that was a great impression. Good job.
I can't understand him at all, and I'm actually... there's nothing you can do about it, but you can't frickin' understand this guy. They steal all of the weapons from, Lucius Fox and Batman, Bane's crew, and, they've set up this, like... It's actually kind of brilliant. I hope terrorists don't, do this. It's like...
Let's not give them these ideas.
Right, it's like, we have a nuclear bomb that will kill everyone in the city, and we've broken the city off from everyone. And it's like, if you come here, we'll kill them all. And so don't come here, right? United States military, don't come here. And so they're like, okay, well, we won't do that. We'll send 3 Navy SEALs who get shot.
Yeah, that was an awful plan.
Which was not smart. We'll send them with the, Red Cross food or whatever. It's pretty simple. It's like, we have a nuclear bomb, don't send anyone, it's going to go off in 5 months, which sucks. And one person, someone in Gotham, has the trigger, and if anyone tries to leave, or if anything happens, they'll set it off and kill everyone. And we're going to create this, perversion of democracy with,
a silly trial system.
Yeah, and it's just poor people or people who've been oppressed or feel oppressed, find anyone who you feel angry toward and you will kill them or whatever. Bane turns Gotham. I'm something that I wondered after watching this movie was if the Joker had been part of the League of Shadows.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because
I still think he's just a dog chasing cars.
Yeah, I think that too. But it's just what they wanted was just bring Gotham down to its basis level.
Just that was one of my favorite things. That that was the purpose of the League of Shadows. Like, that's the goal that they had in mind in the first movie. And I really liked that they decided, third movie, wrapping up the trilogy, same thing. The League of Shadows is still trying to do that.
Right. And the thing is, and this is where Bruce comes into play, like, Bruce has to watch a lot of this. Not only, like, Talia and Bane, we still don't know that Talia is Talia, but, like, they're going to do two things. One, they're going to kill everyone in Gotham. They're going to destroy Gotham. And two, they're going to bring Gotham down to, like, craziness, like, and make everyone watch it. Make Bruce watch it. Like, you know, he has said, like, Gotham is worth saving, and they're going to make him watch, like, this awful, like, we are going to, like, turn this city into madness. And that's hard. That's hard for someone, like, you care about yourself. Like, think about Lancaster. think about Columbus. You know, like, what if, like I think Columbus, Ohio is worth saving. Like, I think that there are good people there. But if someone did this to Columbus or did this to Lancaster, human nature, I think, would probably cause people to do awful things. And if I was made to watch it, that would be...
It would drive you nuts.
Literal torture.
You'd start strapping on an armored suit and cranking up your bat plane.
Right. Right, I mean, it's crazy. And Bruce had to watch this and also know that not only is this happening, but this whole city is going to blow up in 5 months or however long, you know, blah, blah, blah.
He knows how long the fuse is.
Yeah. So I was, throughout the movie, trying to figure out who the hell Bane was. For a while, can I just describe my progression?
Yeah.
For a while, I had no idea who he was. And then, for a little while, I thought he might be Ra's al Ghul resurrected. And that's why he had the mask, like, doing stuff.
Okay.
I'm like, maybe he's him. And I'm like, no, he's too young and something. No, I don't think so. And then I was starting to think from the flashbacks and stuff like, he's Ra's al Ghul's son. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I think we were meant to believe that for a while. And I was just like, yeah, Ra's al Ghul's son. Makes sense.
For a long time, I thought he was Ra's al Ghul's son, and that he was executing Ra's al Ghul's plan. And they totally had me right up until they revealed Talia.
Yep.
I thought that. Yep. I'm like, Ra's al Ghul's son. Yep. Totally got it. Lucius reinforces it. Everyone does. And then it's like, oh shit. That reveal, I was not expecting that at all.
You know what's really funny? Like, a couple days...
I even knew about Talia.
Yeah, a couple days before we saw this, Alicia and I were looking... We were just poring over different wiki stuff, and I was not trying to find out about the movie. I was just looking at Ra's al Ghul, because I had, like, looked up that pronunciation thing, and, like, we saw that Ra's al Ghul had a daughter named Talia, and we were like, oh, that's interesting. Didn't think about it for a second while we were watching the movie. And then afterwards, we were both like, oh my god, we saw that on Wikipedia just 2 days ago.
The movie worked very well in disguising that. So, well done, movie. Good job. I loved Bruce in the prison.
Yeah.
Really liked that part a lot.
He gets his little, like, Yoda guy to lead him through what he needs to do.
Him seeing Ra's al Ghul, him failing, and then him sort of embracing, like, what he has to do and getting out. I thought that was...
No rope.
Yeah. I knew. Did you know? I knew that was what he would have.
It was going to be, no, he can't have the security of the rope.
But because they did it with the rope twice, and I'm like, he's got to do it.
Yeah.
And then the guys that like I was whispering it to myself, like, he's got to do it without the rope. And then the blind guy or with the doctor was like, do it without the rope or whatever. I'm like, yes, do it without the rope. You got to do it without the rope. You'll yes, please make me happy. You're just like an Olympic gymnast. And he did it, and I thought it was awesome. And they used that theme, that chanting, and it was sort of like, it was a culmination of a lot of different parts of the movie, you know? Like, why do we fall? And, you know, Bruce Wayne being a legend and Batman, and it was a lot of stuff. A lot of emotions tied up there. And here is how I'm going to wrap, Shawn. Is Bruce Wayne alive?
I wondered the exact same thing.
Is he alive?
They give us the little coda of Alfred.
No, there's two things we have to cover. Okay, is Bruce Wayne and Blake.
Yeah.
So we have the coda. Everyone gets their things from Bruce Wayne, and Alfred has said that he goes to Florence when Bruce Wayne was
I take a holiday to Florence.
He goes to Florence. You have a really bad accent. He goes to Florence.
Size of a tangerine.
Bruce Wayne. Some men just want to watch the world burn down. And he went there every year while Bruce Wayne was missing, and he, you know, got the little drink, and he looked up, and he didn't see Bruce Wayne. He was sad, and he was in Florence, and he saw someone, and he was not sad. He looked satisfied. He looked happy. So is that just in his mind, or did he actually see Bruce? Because they do this like weird thing with Lucius, like, oh, hey, it looks like someone made the autopilot work.
Yeah. Right. They give you the indication that Bruce figured it. He told Bruce there was one problem, and it was the autopilot, and he needed someone with a mind better than his to figure it out. And that's why he was like, you figure it out, Bruce. And they made the point later that it still didn't work. He explained it to someone. He said there's no autopilot.
When they were on the ground with Catwoman, with Selina, and the device, he was like, I've got to take it over the water. And, you know, it's like, there's no autopilot. And he kisses Selina, and he obviously has an affection toward her. But it looks like he takes off with it, and it doesn't seem like there are a lot of opportunities, except one where he could escape. He blows up like a building, and then something comes out of the building. And it's like, maybe he was not in the, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like he took the thing out over the water, but I looked into this on the internet. I looked pretty... so someone has the script, and the script is like, no, that's Bruce Wayne.
It's not a dream sequence or
no, it's
imaginary.
Not a dream. So the script is that it's not a dream. That's really Bruce and Selina. Regardless, I'm still... When I watched it, I'm like, is that Bruce? I don't know. And you know what else? I think that Chris and Jonathan Nolan, his brother, I think that they will. I'm pretty sure they will not do any more Batman movies.
I think that is safe to say.
So whatever questions we have, we'll have them. The final thing that I like, whatever else you want to bring up, John Blake.
The final thing is Robin.
So we find out his name is Robin, which is awesome.
I'm pretty sure anyone seeing it who didn't know a thing about Batman was like, oh, Robin!
And he gives that little look. He had that, like, split second. Thank God they cast Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you know? And so we mentioned this at the beginning. He's the hero of this movie.
Yeah.
Right? He's the hero. And... I don't need I don't need to say anything other than this, and I will say this is not an original thought of mine. I read it in, I think, a Salon.com article. The name of this movie is The Dark Knight Rises, right?
Yeah.
The very last shot in this movie is Joseph Gordon-Levitt rising,
stepping onto the platform in the Batcave, which he has now inherited.
Yep, he's the Dark Knight. Boom.
Fuck.
Right? They're too good. They shouldn't even be allowed to make movies anymore. They're too good. No more movies. No, seriously, I didn't even think about this. Like, I saw this whole movie, and then I read the Salon.com article, and it was this guy talking about, like, no, like people have been apparently speculating on the internet, like, oh, they're gonna do more movies with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Robin, and then someone's like, no, he's Batman, and here's why, and it's like the end of the movie is him rising on this platform, and the name of the movie is The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm like, oh, okay, yep, you're right. You're right, guy. Boom.